Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Marty Ellis Show. On a Tuesday night now, we have been moved from a Wednesday night to a Tuesday night, starting off 2026 in style. First and foremost, Happy New Year to everyone. I know it was a few days ago, but this is the first show of the year, the first live show for us. So Happy New Year to you, Ella, and Happy New Year to absolutely everyone that's watching. And I hope everyone has an absolutely fantastic year and they get everything that they desire and deserve.
Yeah, I have to say Happy New Year to everyone in the chat, everyone that's watching as well, and Happy New Year to you, Marty, because it's been a while. We haven't seen each other since the New Year's coming. We've had a little bit of a break from the show. And now we're back, so I feel like we've got a lot to catch up on, really.
I mean, we have. I mean, there's been a lot of football played since our last show before Christmas. And I must say, since then, it feels like ages ago, but it also, time has just disappeared like that. And here we are now into 2026, like 2025 never even left. And yeah, how time flies. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to the show this year. And obviously, we've got some great new stuff lined up for you guys, some great stuff to help you guys get involved and participate in the show. But all will be revealed within the next coming weeks. We've got a few things we're going to trial out, which should be fun as always. There's a potential for a phone-in show as well. So that would really mean that you guys coming into the show, giving your opinions on what's going on and having your say on AFTV, which I'm sure will be very lively and very fun. And also
make sure people behave themselves as well.
Yeah, there would be instant ejections for that. But
I'll be having none of it. I'll be having absolutely none of it.
Oh, no, you've got to be ruthless with it. But it's a fantastic opportunity for everyone to get involved and everyone to have their say and get onto AFTV and be part of it. And, you know, personally, I'm buzzing for it, really looking forward to it. I think it will be a great string to our bow and a really good show. But I don't want to say too much in case it gets canned by production or I get told off for releasing too much information too quickly. So, Ella, quickly, how was the new year for you? Just a quick gloss over since you last spoke. There's been a few results. Obviously, there's loads of news we're going to get into. What's going on at Manchester City? You know, their defence is completely depleted. We've got Chelsea have just appointed Liam Rosenior, who has also just, thanks to Ella, I heard before, he's just failed to attend a speed awareness course. We're going to be going into that.
He's fumbled it before he's even started.
I know, 6 year. I mean, this is Chelsea all over. Stamford Bridge is falling down thoroughly.
Honestly.
And they put him on a 6-year deal as well. I mean, Maresca, I think Maresca was a centre-back and a goalkeeper away from having a top side. You know, but we'll discuss that. Obviously, Manchester United, they've just got rid of Amorim and his 3-4-3 system, potentially to get Glasner in, who is a 3-4-3 merchant. And we have got, obviously, Celtic got rid of their manager. If Liverpool lose against us on Thursday, Slot could be out the door. So it is a really fantastic, intense period of football.
Well, I think even tonight, I mean, West Ham are playing tonight, if I'm not mistaken. Nuno's seriously under the cosh.
So West Ham are playing tonight. They're playing Nottingham Forest. This is a relegation dogfight. Considering this Nottingham Forest side were last season or season before near the top of the Premier League, looking for Champions League football. A very tough team to break down. Now, looking like they could go back out the trapdoor like they did seasons ago. And yeah, obviously West Ham, you know, listen, that stadium, that's going to be an empty place if they're playing Championship football. I mean, it's not the nicest of places to go to, as in, I hate it. I think it's soulless. I think it's lifeless.
Yeah, it's not a great stadium.
I've been there a few times. It's very disconnected from the team, the fans. And if anyone's ever been to the Boleyn, that was for me a fantastic old school English stadium. I loved it there. I loved it there enough. You know, I really love those old school English stadiums. I think they're on top of the pitch, and this is just, you know, this London stadium. It's not purpose built for football. It's Olympic stadium. But anyway, we'll get into that stuff. There's loads to be discussing, and that's without obviously Arsenal on Thursday evening facing Liverpool at home at the Emirates at 8 o'clock at night. That is going to be an absolutely awesome game. Another opportunity for us to play after everyone and put a bit more daylight between 1, Manchester City, and 2, the rest of the table. One thing I looked at, do you know, we're 20 points in front of everyone from position 10th down to 20, I believe.
The table's really, really quite different this season in the sense that I think it's a lot more competitive from, well, kind of Villa downwards, because the top 3 look fairly stapled in for now. But you know, I was looking at United with obviously everything that's been going on with Amorim. You know, they're 6th in the Premier League, which like on paper is not necessarily sackable, but I don't think that's what got him sacked really. But they're 3 points off 4th, but they're also 3 points off 12th. So it kind of just shows how quickly things could change in the Premier League from literally 1 week of football. I think that's a good thing. I think we all want to be seeing the Premier League in a competitive way. I think that's what makes a good. I think that's what makes a good league. Otherwise, it's boring. Obviously, yes, I would love Arsenal to steamroll the Premier League, and you know
what? I do like the fact, Ella. Sorry, I've got to say this.
No,
we're 14 points in front of Liverpool, who are in 4th. So basically, we're 14 points clear from 16 teams in the Premier League. 17 teams in the Premier, which I like that. I think that's phenomenal. And obviously, if City drop points and Villa drop points potentially tomorrow night, then we could be looking at a very interesting Premier League table where we could potentially be, 9 points clear or 7 points clear, which wouldn't be 8 points clear, which wouldn't be too bad.
Yeah, listen, I'd rather it's not, you know, I'd rather it's an easy ride for Arsenal, but it does make for an interesting league when the other teams around you are competing, and it just makes every game a bit more interesting to watch. And I think what it's going to mean is that, you know, there's going to be a real interesting push for Champions League football, for Europa League, Conference League, etc. But also down at the bottom, you know, there's a relegation battle going on. So I just think it makes the league way better. I think it's so boring when top 4 is already established by, you know, December time. It's definitely not. And I think
Sorry, go on.
Go on.
No, go on.
I just think anything's possible. Still, it's too early, and things can change. Not going to finish like this.
You've got to think, if Nottingham Forest beat West Ham tonight, they go from 18 points to 21. You've got Leeds in 22, who, funnily enough, I think Leeds have actually been getting some decent results, and I'm surprised they're as far down as they are.
Well, I think their home form has helped them a lot.
I know. And then you've got West Ham, who are in 18th with 14 points. If they lose tonight, then you'll have a gap of 7 points between the bottom 3 and 17th, which at this stage of the season, listen, there's a lot of football to be played. There would be 17 games after tonight's game for both of them, which is a considerable amount of games. But on form, and considering West Ham got taken apart by Burnley 3-0, which was a turn up for the books. I mean, Wolves got half of their season's points tally in one afternoon, which is quite something as well.
Yeah, and also against a team you maybe wouldn't expect. I don't know. I mean, maybe actually you would expect, considering recent results. But yeah, Wolves look like they're definitely playing Championship football next team. And West Ham, to be honest, also do look like they're going down, which I really don't think a lot of people would have predicted at the beginning of the season. I know they're making some efforts in January, but I'm not sure it's going to make enough of a difference for them to stay up this season.
So let's fly up to the other end of the table, the top of the table.
Yeah, much more enjoyable.
The bit which we're interested in, right? So Ruben Dias, okay, he's out for 6 weeks, 6 to 10 weeks with a hamstring injury. Man City have confirmed. And that follows the tibia fracture to the right leg of Guardiola. Another injury. 2 centre-backs out. You've got to think that's going to cause them some serious problems.
Yeah, well, you would think for any other team in the Premier League, but probably not for Man City, who can throw endless amounts of cash at any issue that they have within their squad. People won't like me saying that probably, but it is true, because I'm not sure there's a lot of other teams that can go out in January and maybe spend 100 million quid. You know, there looks like Semenyo is pretty much almost confirmed. I think he's playing his last game for Bournemouth against Spurs.
So Semenyo's got a medical booked for Man City. The medical is on Thursday, and steps are expected to progress after Bournemouth have played Tottenham on Wednesday night. So it seems that they're conceding that's his last game. They've booked the medical. The £65 million release clause expires on Friday, and it's an interesting one that they're letting him play the game if it's done, or there's something in the contract. Because listen, let's say the player got injured, but there must be an injury clause in the contract to say that if he does get injured, they've still got to buy him.
Yeah, it is interesting. I mean, a lot of people were talking about when, obviously, Semenyo playing for Arsenal in the last fixture and how it's definitely risky, he could get injured, but also that it could have potentially been to Man City's advantage if Bournemouth would have been able to get something. So I hear it from that point of view as well. But as I was kind of saying, like the whole thing about in January, Semenyo is definite, but also now they're looking at players like Mark Gay. They can easily go and spend probably 30-35 million on Gay and secure him. Obviously, that is if he wants to go and join City, which I think, to be honest, he kind of is able to play the cards as he wants because he's got a lot of clubs that are interested in him. Liverpool obviously still want him. I've heard Bayern Munich. I've heard other clubs. So he really
Real Madrid.
He really gets to decide where he wants to go. But yeah, I mean, like I said, how many other teams can afford to go and spend 100 million to solve their injury issues in January?
This is the thing as well, is Mark Gay is available for around reported about £25 million, gets the deal done. Obviously, Palace, his contract's up in the summer, so that allows him to walk away for free in the summer. And yes, Real Madrid are specialists at this. Again, free transfers. Obviously, Liverpool, he walks into the Liverpool side, I believe, with Kunate probably going to Real Madrid. Potentially he's linked, and also Van Dijk, the pairing not performing that well this season. So, you know, he would walk straight in. So it's probably favourable for a player that's one of the main men at Crystal Palace. He's the captain of the club, an outstanding performer, a centre-back that scores goals, wins games, and, you know, helps them to keep clean sheets. He's a fantastic player. But also Manchester City for £25 million, Manchester's, you know, a club of Manchester City's stature to go, you know, it's not even breaking the bank. You're talking getting, you know, even if you put down 30 million, probably before these injuries happened. I have also heard links that Arsenal wanted the player and that were very interested in him. And there was a very high potential of the deal happening to Arsenal. Obviously linking up with Eze, Crystal Palace and Arsenal like doing business together, and that was a very strong possibility. But now change developments due to obviously the injuries to Manchester City, and obviously if it became a bidding war for Mark Gay, it's understood that they would spend what's necessary, especially if a fee was to go to 30 or 35 million. Palace would bite their hand off. Obviously, they wanted 40 in the summer, and that got the deal done. But Liverpool only wanted to pay 35, and now they'll probably be kicking themselves. And these injuries have happened at the worst time for Liverpool, and probably at the best time for Crystal Palace, because it looks like they're going to get the money for their man.
Well, you know what's interesting? When Maresca was left Chelsea, and there was all the speculation about who was going to come in as manager, obviously before Liam Rosenior. It was really interesting because Glasner was one of the names, and I think he will be for all the top jobs that come up. And I was thinking, if Glasner were to have taken the Chelsea job, I wonder whether he would have gone and signed Mark Gay in January, because Chelsea really need a centre-back. And perhaps his preference would be to stay in London. You know, it's less disruptive. You're going to a big club in Chelsea. Obviously, that's all speculation now because Glasner is not at Chelsea and he's still at Palace. But it would have been interesting. It would have made for an interesting kind of... I think he could have gone in for him in January for sure.
Definitely, and let's go into that, because obviously Chelsea, the Chelsea management switch was something that we were going to bring up with Liam Rosenior going in there, and you make a fantastic point there. That obviously, I said it at the start of the show, I do genuinely feel with Maresca at the helm that Chelsea were literally a centre back, i.e. a Mark Gay, and a goalkeeper such as, like, dare I say it, maybe a Kepa, just a decent quality goalkeeper, someone like that, or, you know, ideally a David Raya. I mean, listen, if they had a David Raya and they had a Mark Gahey, or, you know, dare I say it, a Gabriel or something like that, I think there'd be a much more consistent side. And that's where, for me, Chelsea have struggled. Also, how fantastic was that on Sunday night? Because a lot of people, I remember I was on the Invincibles with Lee, big up to Lee Judges as well, and himself struggling with an injury. And he was saying that obviously Chelsea could end up being on a battering from City, but obviously this new manager bounce, and it didn't work like that. And City aren't firing for me on all cylinders, especially if Haaland's not firing on all cylinders, which he wasn't. And listen, Chelsea nicked it at the end, and for me, the defensive frailties were there. They were wide open. That ball should never really have got all the way across the box at that stage of the game. It was Gittins who picks up the ball. If I'm the Man City left back, I'm taking Gittins out. I'm picking up a booking. I'm clattering him.
It's like tackle.
Yeah, no, I'm taking him out of the game. If you're showing him the outside, even if you've got to push him over, you're taking a foul at that stage in the game, and that stops the ball going in the back of the net. And it just, you know, they dropped 2 points, and you could see what that meant to Pep Guardiola and Foden at the end of it. You know, they were half distraught. Quick super chat there from @Jesse PB 1126. I feel like we should not fear City at all. They're struggling in terms of finishing the game off in the last 2 games. But if we keep believing and winning game by game, that's all that matters for us. Thanks very much for the super chat. Really appreciate it. Keep them coming in, guys. And anything you do send in, we will read out.
I mean, that's basically what we've just been talking about, to be honest. I think it's definitely right to some extent that, you know, it's quite uncharacteristic of City to kind of be conceding those last minute goals, and I feel like the City of 2 seasons ago wouldn't concede that goal that they did against Chelsea. But I think it's massive credit to Chelsea, because in the second half they were much better. And to be honest, at half time I was like, I don't really see a way back for Chelsea. And to be honest, before the game I was like, there's just no way that Chelsea get anything from this game. I couldn't see it happening. I'm very happy I was wrong, to be quite honest with you.
I'm glad you weren't in the Chelsea changing room at half time.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, listen, no, I'd be perfect. I'd be like, guys, come on. I'm the one that wanted Chelsea to succeed. I
know.
But yeah, no, they were much better in the second half, and I think some of the substitutions made a big difference for them. And it's a massive, massive point for Chelsea, but also obviously a massive 2 points drop for City. And Gary Neville, who was on commentary when the goal went in, saying big goal for Chelsea, but an even bigger goal for Arsenal. And it's huge. It's absolutely huge.
Absolutely. And that point there as well, that defending, listen, don't forget that was at a time when City had 5 at the back. So
yeah, he brought on Nathan Ake in
there you go. And I think this is no disrespect to Nathan Ake, but I don't think this is why they need reinforcements, because I don't think he's the guy that's going to lead them to the Premier League title this season. And obviously they missed out last season, as we all know, to Liverpool, and they weren't that sort of great. They've reinforced in the summer, but obviously defensively they are now lacking. So Chelsea bringing in, what do you think? This is for me, quite a random appointment. Chelsea bringing in Liam Rosenior as their new head coach on a 6.5-year deal. He's arrived from Strasbourg on a contract that actually run until 2032. And obviously, for me, if I'm Liam Rosenior, you know, Chelsea come calling, you take the job. He's been at Hull, he's been at Derby, amongst a few other clubs. It's a massive job for him to take on, board. Has he got that sort of experience? We're going to find out. Will he be able to handle the job? Hopefully not. I hope from a sort of a life aspect, it's nice to see sort of the underdog come in and do well, and I like that. But obviously, I'm not going to lie. It's nice at the moment to see the difference between us and Chelsea and how many points are in it. I think it's 15. Was it 15 points at the moment? We're in front of them, which I've been in these situations with Chelsea in years gone by, where tell a lie. 17 points. We're 17 points currently in front of Chelsea, which is a phenomenal. Don't forget we're 20 games into the season, and this is something that Chelsea have done to us before, and I've been there fully, and it hurt. It was painful when we weren't that good, and Chelsea were very good, and they'd go off into these leads in the Premier League, and we were suffering, but now we're not.
Yeah, I mean, to go through my thoughts of everything going on at Chelsea, I think Chelsea fans will be very, very frustrated because the way that the club is being run, it's not being run like a football club. It's being run like a business. Yeah. And I feel like you're seeing that. And ultimately, Maresca, let's be honest, he left. He left on his own terms. He wasn't sacked. And we all know that I think the hierarchy at Chelsea is very controlling. I think more of that is coming out with obviously Maresca leaving. And I think he was able to make less decisions than you would maybe anticipate as a coach, as a manager. And I think that's the problem with Chelsea is the hierarchy and obviously the appointment of Liam Rosenior. Let's be honest, if Chelsea had their pick out of any manager, they're not picking Rosenior. The Blue Co and Strasbourg and Chelsea, everyone can see what's kind of going on here. A club like Chelsea, who's one of the biggest clubs in the world, I think Chelsea fans would kind of want to see more ambition, appointing an ex-manager. But ultimately, I think they've lost actually a very good coach in someone like Maresca, who I do believe is going to be the next Man City manager.
Really?
I think I really think he's eyeing it up. I think, Ornstein and Fabrizio have reported, conversations are being had. This isn't, I don't think this is like hush hush. It's come out. I think those are his intentions. And ultimately, I'm not really sure that any manager is going to be able to really succeed at Chelsea with the amount of control that the club and the owners want to have over the decisions being made. And so, wish Liam Rosenior the best of luck, but I just think it's an almost impossible task. You look at the way that they buy players. You don't see them buying any players over the age of 22, 23. The club is a business model. And so, yeah, I'm happy that Arsenal is not being run like that because I think it makes it impossible for real success. But it's like they're not bothered about that, which the fans will be incredibly frustrated about.
Yeah, I think you make a really interesting point. And the thing with appointing someone like Liam Rosenior is with Enzo Maresca, he came in there, he went in as a manager, and he came out and said that he's not head coach, he's a manager. So there could be, situations where the hierarchy have asked him, can you do this? Can you do that? And he's turned around and said, no, I'm going to do it like this. But what they want in potentially someone like Liam Rosenior, who essentially is probably, no disrespect, probably kind of won the lottery with the job, yeah. Listen, I say at the beginning of the year, if 3 months ago or 2 months ago, someone said to you, put £100 on Liam Rosenior being the Chelsea head coach, in January, the odds you would have got would have been phenomenal. And you would have all turned around and said, that is never going to happen in a million years. And obviously it's happened. And he's probably more of a guy that the hierarchy can turn around and say, yeah, can you do this for us? Can you do that? And he'll turn around 100%. And he'll say, yeah, no problems. That's fine. Even if it is going against his footballing integrity, which, there's nothing I say too wrong with that. At the end of the day, he's in a job. He's secured a 6.5-year deal. Does it bode well for Chelsea? And like you said, Chelsea fans and obviously Chelsea Fan TV, a big shout out to them. And I know that the guy who runs that is very vocal in saying that the Chelsea fans will not support that appointment, and it is not the correct appointment, and I haven't actually come. I've spoken to a few of my friends are unfortunately Chelsea fans, and I've spoken to them about it, and they are absolutely up in arms with it, and they're what's going on at their club, and obviously the 20 years of success that they've seen. A lot of these Chelsea fans have from 2002 or 3 obviously experienced success and kind of grown to a level of expectation with that, and it looks like now, I mean, listen, they won the Club World Cup, which was a trophy which was made up a few years ago, and what was the other? Oh, and the other one that was made up a few years ago, they won that as well. So, but even though winning those trophies, it doesn't seem like like, and let's go to Arsenal, because if Arsenal won the Premier League now, I do believe, let's say we continue this run and we go and win the Premier League, let's say hypothetically 10 points clear or 15 points clear, I believe this team goes down as one of the best Premier League teams. Just through, I know. Look, I know.
I'm hesitant to go.
No,
there,
do you know what? I generally listen. I said this at the beginning of the season. I'm not changing. I'm not going early on it. I generally believe we're going to win the Premier League. I've seen Arsenal win the Premier League. I've seen Arsenal win.
Oh no, I agree with that. I'm just saying about one of the best Premier League side. I think you have to really prove that.
Okay, squads.
Seasons.
Like I saw it in '89. I saw it in '91. I saw it in '98, 2002, and 2004. So I know what these teams need to be equipped for. I was there, I watched them, and I know how these teams need to be equipped. And like against Bournemouth, let's go into that, because we haven't actually spoken that much about Arsenal for being live for 26 minutes, and it's been like Sky Sports News, and but probably not as good. So before anyone says, "Oh, you're nothing like them," so. Arsenal, when we went 1-0 behind, and I was on a watch along with Lee, Christian, and at a weekend on AFTV.
Oh God!
And sorry, tossing, and when we went 1-0 behind, yeah, sorry, no. So when we went 1-0 behind, I wasn't sat there worried at all. Obviously it wasn't good to see the goal going, and what an uncharacteristic mistake from Gabriel Magalhaes to literally pass the ball straight to Evan Nilsson, who just coolly, fair play to him, slots it home. David Raya couldn't do much of it. But what I love seeing, and this is the quality of the guy, right? 6 minutes later, 6 minutes later, he goes down the other end, he lashes the ball into the back of the net. And do you know what? I had no doubt that he wouldn't rectify his mistake.
He always does.
He's fantastic. Like, that is a match-winning guy. And then, let's move on to Declan Rice. 2 goals. This guy, and listen, as Arsenal fans, we've been going on about him all season, and everyone's been like saying, "Oh, Caicedo's better," and this and da da da. I don't believe there's a better midfielder on the planet at the moment, right here, right now, than Declan Rice. The way he crashed that box on Saturday twice, not once, but twice. And from, obviously the other first, I think it's the first goal was from the edge of the box and sticks it in the back of the net. But it's not even just that. It's what this guy offers. Like, he can do everything dead ball wise. He can take corners, he can take free kicks, and put them in dangerous places exactly where you want them. The guy can tackle, he can run, he can pass, he can shoot, he can dribble. He's good aerially, he's good positionally, he's professional, he's fit, he's not that touchwood injury prone. He's got a great attitude, he's a leader. He's a fantastic model of what a professional footballer should be. Does it with a smile on his face. He can do the lot. He's got a great engine. He's a physical guy. Tackles in where he needs to, and heavy duty tackles as well, but not dangerously reckless heavy duty tackles. Very well timed heavy duty tackles. And afterwards, he lets the player know that he's left a bit on them. And I've seen that in a few games where he bends over the player and shout, lets them have a piece of his mind. I love that sort of gamesmanship. You need that. It's bite, it's guile, it's venom, and it's it's spite. It's fantastic to see that from a player that plays like the captain of the club.
Yeah, I think Declan Rice is a very, very special player, and I think he's really developed more and more since he's been at Arsenal. To be honest, I feel like I didn't really acknowledge him as much when he was playing for West Ham, just purely because I don't watch as much as West Ham. And I think I didn't really appreciate that fully what a player he was until he really joined Arsenal. But I think the way that he has developed at Arsenal, like, he's added just so much more to his Arsenal. Didn't actually mean for that pun, but so it's
stick it in there anyway. Why
not? But yeah, I think he's always said that he's wanted to add more goals to his game. And that's why I think it's so great to see him score a brace. I think he said it's the first time he scored 2 goals in a game, and he was absolutely buzzing. But I think we'll see more and more of him kind of getting into those right positions and getting more goals. Just because naturally, like, his work rate is ridiculous. He'll always be in and around the right areas. And yeah, this season, I don't think it's unfair to say that he should be in a Ballon d'Or conversation. Obviously, before people go crazy, that the end of the season will obviously impact where he ranks, and Arsenal will have to pull off something, which we should. But he's a generational player. He really is. And we always sing Declan Rice, we got him half price, but I don't even think that's a joke. He's doubled his value since he's come to Arsenal.
Isn't it funny though when you see a player where there's many players of elite quality and very high quality in that Arsenal side, and whenever you say them and you praise them in that way and explain their exceptional ability, you kind of have to say, in case everyone goes crazy and lose their head, but maybe, and a lot of those people won't watch that player week in, week out. But with someone like Declan Rice, and I was about to come on to Zubamendi, I understand occasionally he will give the ball away, and occasionally the odd pass might go astray. But, the stuff that this guy does do on the ball and the way he moves the ball around and the way he controls the game, if you watch him, and these for me are players, sometimes when I'm at the Emirates and obviously there's action going on in other areas of the pitch, I literally watch the players, what they do off the ball. And you can sit there and they're players that you can watch their positioning and how they open themselves to take the ball. And then the ball comes to them and you see how they advance around the pitch. And it's something else. It really is. Obviously, you need to keep an eye on the real action, what's going on with the ball. But what I'm saying is position-wise, it's like someone like a player like David Raya, the stuff that he does off the ball and the positions that he picks up on the pitch when he hasn't got the ball, enable him to get the ball in good positions and do something with it and come out and collect the ball and snuff out the danger where he needs to.
I do think with someone like Declan Rice, though, and obviously we had a bit of a scare moment when the news broke before the Villa game. He obviously had picked up an injury and that he wouldn't be playing. And obviously when arguably your best player isn't going to be playing, you're worried. And particularly because, we've been saying all season, I think Declan Rice missing from our team could be probably one of the most impactful losses, just because I don't think there's anyone that really does what he does. You could definitely make the argument for Gabriel or Saliba. I hear that as well. But, we have to manage Declan Rice this season. And obviously you want to play him in every game because he's unbelievable. You want your best player to play every game, but we know how long the season is. We've got so many fixtures in such a short space of time. And, we're lucky that Declan returned for the Bournemouth game and that he was back. But you have to definitely manage him. And I do want to see the squad utilised properly and maybe slightly more. I know that there is rotation and that players do get chances. We saw like Madueke and Martinelli, so there was rotation. But Declan is someone that you have to keep an eye on because we can't lose him for a long spell like that. That could be damaging.
Do you know what? Since Martin Odegaard's come back from injury, and I'm not saying he's on Declan Rice's levels in that position, and the thing with Declan Rice is, do you know what, the other day reminded me very much of how Frank Lampard used to play, how he used to arrive in the box late in those positions and score goals like that. And obviously he was a very special player, dare I say it. And
I think we can acknowledge that, even not as Chelsea fans, we can admit.
He's an all-time Premier League great. I mean, obviously the amount of goals he scored from midfield was quite something. I believe he's Chelsea's all-time leading goal scorer as well. So,
yeah, so
it says a lot. But he for me, Martin Odegaard can play that position, that number 8 position. And obviously, at the moment, Eberechi Eze can't even get a game. He's sat on the bench. Last 3 games, he hasn't even got off the bench. And, he could, that's the only thing. If you wanted to rotate Rice out. But then it comes on to this. Let me ask you this question. For the Portsmouth game, going a little bit far ahead, I understand. Listen, it's on Sunday. We're on Tuesday now. Do you completely rotate for that game?
I mean, what even is completely rotate? I don't think you rotate 11, but I think you do want to see maybe 6, 7 changes. I can't believe I've just said 6, 7. People will pick up on that.
Do you know what? My kids are all over that. Anytime I say anything to do with...
that's so poor from me as well.
Yeah, I know. Anytime I say anything to do with that, it's said. So, do you know what?
Dear God.
Shame on you, Ella.
I hate myself for that so much. But no, I want to see quite a few changes because we have to. Like we've got a really good squad, and I want to see all players firing on all cylinders. And I think it's important that we do. Because
so when I say heavy rotation, what I mean is Kepa in goal, Ben White at right back, Hincapié and probably Saliba. I'd rotate out Gabriel just due to he pulled up again in the Villa game, just come back from injury. Wouldn't want to risk him, very important player. Not saying that Saliba's not. Mascara's probably getting near back to fitness. Lewis Skelly at left back, Norgard in the 6. Potentially Odegaard in the 8, Eze in the 10, Madueke, Gyökeres and Martinelli up front.
Yeah, 100%. I want loads of changes for that game. And there's no reason why we shouldn't. Players like Norgard have to start in these games. And I'm sure we'll come on to Ethan Wineri in a little bit, which is quite frustrating. But yeah, Eze someone who hasn't got minutes for games now. So
yeah, I know.
I really, really do want him to get some minutes. It's quite criminal, really, having a 65 odd million player not really getting minutes in your team, because other Premier League teams would absolutely kill to have him in their starting 11. So,
and on that note as well, like on Saturday night against Bournemouth, we don't forget at that point when we changed our entire front three, and when you bring on Trossard, Jesus and Saka after about 65 minutes, a triple change, completely change your front line. Like, that's depth. That's serious depth.
Absolutely. I think the thing about Eze that is quite frustrating is that I think Arteta has maybe realised that he hasn't necessarily found the best way to play him, and that's because we don't play with a number 10. You know, we play with 2 8s in Odegaard and Rice, and he's not really a left winger, Eze, although if we really needed to, we could stick him there. But we don't really want to play him there. Of course, you definitely could, and he would put in a shift, but not playing with that number 10 means that often when he plays, he kind of gets lost and he's not being found, and he just looks a bit invisible. So I don't really know how that changes, but I think Arteta's needs to kind of find out how to utilize him best, because we can't just ignore it and not give him any minutes, because he's absolute quality. It's criminal to not be using him as a player or as a sub, even just for like 20 minutes. So something's got to change there, and Arteta's got to figure out how he can use him best.
Speaking of changes, obviously January transfer window is open. We've spoken about other clubs and potentials of their signings. It's come apparent that Livramento from Newcastle, who can play at either right or left back, the management haven't decided yet whether they're going to launch a formal bid, but could be on the radar. Brahim Diaz, who's a right left winger front three player from Real Madrid, with a reported fee of 40 million. And David Bartache from AC Milan for 20 million, who is a left back. What do you think? And obviously there's the Mark Gay reported for 25 million, which I have heard. which would be a fantastic signing. What do you think? Do you think we need to strengthen? If we do, which areas? Or do you think, no, do you know what? We've got the depth we need, because everyone's been going on about this fantastic squad depth. So do we need to upset the apple cart? Yeah, which is true. Do we need to? Don't forget, we've got Mascara coming back from injury. Ben White looks to be getting back to fitness. We've got Kai Havertz coming back as well. And it's reported that Arsenal are going to be offering Kai Havertz a new contract as well, which is interesting considering he's been out for so long and is still not back to full fitness. He seems he's come back from fitness and picked up a knock, and then he was near fitness. He was on the bench and he's picked up another knock as well. So, what do you think of that? What do you make of that little lot?
I mean, it's almost unimaginable to have 3 strikers fit at the same time. But yeah, about
Arsenal,
the transfers, at Arsenal. About the transfer stuff, I think Arsenal are in a position where you definitely don't want to make too many changes. We don't need to really make a lot of additions. I don't think you don't want to disrupt the cohesion of the squad. And to be honest, I look at the team, and in our most recent fixtures, I've looked at the bench and I've gone, wow, like that is an unbelievable bench. And obviously, albeit it's, now that we're in a better position with overall squad fitness and we have less and less injuries and people are coming back. So if it was me, I'd always kind of said that maybe it would be a left back, right back kind of signing. The kid from AC Milan, I've seen he's highly rated. I think multiple clubs are on his radar. So I don't think that pursuit would be easy in the slightest.
He's 20 years old.
Yeah, he's super young, and he's, like I said, he's very, very highly rated. But yeah, if Arsenal were to, I think it would be that kind of signing. I don't really see any forward signings being made. I think we've got a lot of forward options at the moment. I think what we haven't even touched on outgoings is all the Ethan Nwaneri talk.
Yeah.
It's a real shame, but I do genuinely believe that he deserves minutes. I think he needs to develop.
So I've heard that there's 2 clubs in for him, and that's Brentford and Bournemouth. I've heard that Bournemouth are very strongly in for him, and that could be obviously with Semenyo going out, and that would be more of a permanent deal, whereas Brentford would be more of a loan deal. Obviously, there's a reason he didn't even make the bench the other day. And listen, but Ethan Nwaneri, funny enough, Craig from Cherries TV, I had him on Box to Box last week, and he asked me about Ethan Nwaneri and what sort of player they would potentially be getting in Nwaneri. And listen, Nwaneri is a fantastic talent. There's no doubt about it, but there are just players in front of him. And that's it. He is young. He's 18 years old. He's got a long football career ahead of him. Would I like to see him get sold permanently? No, I wouldn't. I think a loan deal till the end of the season at either club. Obviously, I think the Bournemouth would suit very well, just because obviously getting rid of Semenyo.
And I like the manager as well. I think.
Fantastic manager. Done a great job with Bournemouth, even though their run of results hasn't been fantastic recently. But Bournemouth fans rave about him and what a great job he's done there. And this Bournemouth side, don't forget, at the beginning of the season, I thought they'd struggle. Don't forget, at the beginning of the season, they got rid of their goalkeeper in Kepa, and back 3, 3 of their back 4, they sold as well. So they've had to change that. I think if you did that to pretty much any club in the Premier League, they'd struggle a lot more than Bournemouth have. Recent times they have definitely struggled, but they're still 15th in the table, 23 points. Could be a great side for Nwaneri to go to get some minutes for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think the cracks are beginning to show, which at the beginning of the season, they started off strongly, and people were looking at that summer and the players that they'd let go of and been like, wow, like this is unexpected. Now I think the cracks are starting to show more, and it's you can see that it's a big loss. And it's not easy to recover from losing some of your best players.
Definitely. So Amorim sacked from Manchester United after all this time with his 3-4-3 system, and obviously a manager who's been there, when you consider Mikel Arteta terms, not that long. really, compared to
no 14 months.
Yeah, 14 months. A manager that was brought in, they said they was going to back him, and obviously the end of the road has come. It's reported that Solskjaer or Carrick are going to take charge potentially until the end of the season. Do you think that Manchester United got rid of him too soon? Do you think that's, I mean, listen, they're sixth in the table, which for a team that actually haven't been playing that well, they're on 31 points, level with Chelsea, just behind Liverpool, just in front of Brentford and Sunderland. You know, do you think, personally, the only thing with Amorim, which I think was a problem, again, in the Newcastle game, he played 4 at the back. And it worked for me.
That was the only game, by the way, in his entire Manchester United managerial career. The only one he started 4 at the back.
Which it does say something. For me personally, again, with this, you can't. I don't believe in the Premier League you can win. I mean, there was the Conte side that did it. He played with a 3-4-3, and obviously won the Premier League. But I don't think it works in the Premier League. I just don't think it's a system. There's too many frailties with it, and the system just doesn't work. I don't think.
Yeah, I briefly touched on at the beginning of the show. Ultimately, Amorim wasn't sacked for his form. When it all came down to it, the reason why he was sacked was not because that wasn't the deciding factor. The deciding factor was that he burnt bridges with the people above at Manchester United. And that started to show, well, that finally showed, should I say, in the press conference. I'm pretty sure it was after Leeds, I want to say, where he basically really starting to air out his dirty laundry, essentially. And, you know, I'm sure you've seen all of this stuff about
Maresca did it as well.
Well, the Amorim stuff was about the manager, not the coach, and him saying, I'll do my job for 18 months and then we move on. And ultimately, when you come out and you say stuff like that, you're asking to get sacked. And he knew that. He's not stupid. That was the beginning of the end. You don't keep your job after you say stuff like that, and you're basically giving the 2 fingers to the people at the very top of the club. And the bridges had been burnt for some time now. I genuinely believe that. And this was him basically, like I said, airing it out. Yes, the United form was not the best ever. But, you know, on paper, sitting 6th right now, it's not horrific. No. Could it be better? Yes. But I watched a lot of Sky Sports analysis of this yesterday. And they showed a graph, and there was a major upwards trajectory this season. You could see that. And they were progressing gradually, but they were progressing, and things were getting better. Albeit, yes, I think the stubbornness with the formation and the way that he wanted to play, would that have really worked out in the long term? Probably not. But I think, yeah, the deciding factor was what he was saying in the press conferences. I think United fans are very frustrated with this because they are seemingly stuck in the same cycle that they have been under the new ownership. It's Eric Ten Hag all over again, really, and it comes back to, you know, a new manager's going to come in most likely in the summer, and they're going to want to have a nice sum of cash to spend on players that they want to buy. And you know, who's gonna say that they're gonna want to play the players that Amorim just spent quite a large chunk of in the summer? So it's a really horrific cycle. And to be honest, it makes me grateful in many ways for Arsenal and for Arteta and how he's been allowed to be backed for a long period of time. Yes, he needs to deliver at some point, but I'm very appreciative for the fact that he's had that long period of time to develop and to grow and to build what he wants to build, because I think it's increasingly rare for any manager in the Premier League to have that now.
I just think, though, with the Manchester United situation, I just think it's quite a simple thing. You play a 4-3-3. You've got 3 amazing front three players. Kobbie Mainoo is a fantastic midfielder. who has legs that will potentially cover for Casemiro with his lack of mobility at times. You've got Fernandes, those three in midfield, and Fernandes who can play in that 10 role, and he is a very good player, whether you like him or loathe him. And then the back three, it's like playing Luke Shaw. Luke Shaw's a left back. He's a very good left back, but not as a left-sided centre-back. And it's just, I think, a few tweaks like that, because they weren't a million miles away. Obviously, they changed the goalkeeper. That Aidan Heaven, he's a fantastic player, and he's, coming up trumps from... And obviously, Martinez is a solid player. And obviously, Lamens has done well in goal, a lot better than, last season's Onana.
Well, that's not very hard, is it?
Yeah, and some of their games have been fine margins. Some have been slightly embarrassing, the 4-4 that they had at home, but that is kind of sort of how Manchester United, it's sort of you score goals and we'll score more. So they've never been that defensively focused. But like I said, the Newcastle, that's a good 1-0 at home to a side that can be very good but also inconsistent. So it's. I just think, for them, it was, maybe Amorim just changing slightly. But as we're speaking about managers, let's go on to the next game, which is Liverpool at home at 8 o'clock at the Emirates, right? So if we batter Liverpool, let's say we beat Liverpool 3 or 4-0, do you think Slot is going to be in some serious bother come Friday morning?
I think... Yes, naturally, but I don't think he gets sacked. I think he's been on... I don't think so. I don't believe so. But he has been under pressure for the majority of the season, particularly when Liverpool had that major drop-off period. I mean, they're still in kind of somewhat of an iffy period. But I don't think you can... I don't know if you can really get sacked after losing away to the best team in the Premier League. I hear what you're saying though, and it definitely will raise more question marks. And we should beat Liverpool. We should. But yeah, I mean, it brings question marks on Slot after having such a great season last season and steamrolling the league. Essentially, it's looking much more tricky for him this season, and the team, the actual starting 11, is, well, first of all, leaking goals, but second of all, just kind of looks a little bit all over the place.
I know. Well, they had a 2-2 with Fulham on Sunday, which they thought they'd wrapped up early. But they didn't.
It's the Richarlison curse. When he takes the top off and Spurs then never win a game of football. Gakpo should have known better, in my opinion. He should have known better.
Rookie mistake. It's nothing funny. I love seeing it. It's brilliant. It's hilarious. I love it.
Inevitable. You take it off if you don't win the game.
Get a booking. You get a booking and get a point.
Booking for nothing.
I know. And then obviously they had a 0-0 with Leeds at home. They beat Wolves 2-1. Beat Tottenham 2-1. Beat Brighton 2-0. Beat Inter 1-0. And then obviously before that they had a draw 3-3 with Leeds. 1-1 with Sunderland, 2-0. So, and then they got beaten. It was where they got beaten 4-1 by PSV in the Champions League, and the 3-0 at home against Forest, and the 3-0 before that against City that really done the damage. I think
that's the period.
That was the period, and obviously the 4-1 PSV in the Champions League is never going to be. It's never going to be a good night. Let's be honest. And obviously the game against Forest 3-0 at home, and they were terrible at Anfield to get beaten like that. I mean, could you imagine if Forest came to the Emirates and beat us like that?
Well, it just wouldn't happen, would it?
No, it wouldn't. But obviously, they've picked up their league positions, quite well now. Well, I mean, they're in 4th place, so I think the Slot talk. But I have heard a few people saying that, listen, if they get a bad result against Arsenal, they could be straight back there.
I mean, it's possible, but like I said, I think it is a little bit unfair if they are then to lose to the best team in the league, because it's like, if you're struggling to get results against Fulham, is more of a sackable result than Arsenal. Let's be honest.
Yeah, it is.
But I think it is a massive game, and obviously it is a game where, regardless of Liverpool's form, it could probably get a little bit close. I'm not saying it will, but I'm saying it could. But I think we can definitely rely on what we've watched from Arsenal at home this season and have a lot of confidence in that the Emirates has been a fortress this season and we are unbeaten at home, and long may that continue. But yeah, this Liverpool team is 100% beatable, and it's a massive 3 points that we need to get. It's a huge game, and obviously with City playing before, they could close the gap back down to 3. So it's very important that
Who
that
starts on Thursday night for you? What's your team? And let us know in the comments as well who you would start on Thursday night.
I think Calafiori's still out, I think. So I think it'll be Hincapié, Saliba, Gabriel, Timber.
Yeah.
I think a midfield 3, very standard, Zubimendi, Rice, Odegaard. Yep. And a front 3 of Saka, Gyökeres and Trossard, I think.
I've just seen quickly Mr. Christian Ty pop up in the comments. Look at these two legends of the game. Big up to yourself. Christian. Big up to yourself, Mr. Christian Ty. I hope you're well. Looking forward to seeing you on Thursday night. Yeah, I was in a watch along with him. So thanks for getting involved, my man.
Thanks, Christian.
So,
any disagreements with what I just said, or?
Sorry, let's go. So yeah, Timber, Saliba, Gabriel, and Hincapié at left back. Definitely Zubimendi, Rice, Odegaard, and yeah, Saka, Gyökeres. I stick with Gyökeres and probably Trossard potentially. Yeah. And then listen, if the game's not going the way you want it, you've got options. You've got Jesus, you've got Martinelli. And listen, one thing Martinelli does do classically well against Liverpool. Last time I said that though, I think he started him, and that was the game where we lost to him because we owe them one. We went to their place at the beginning of the season, and they beat us, and they're one of 2 teams to beat us this season. So we owe it to them to put on a performance. And I think that was quite a cagey performance, giving them potentially a bit too much respect than I say they deserved, because we've seen other teams go there and not give them that respect, and they weren't fantastic. But again, listen, it was Liverpool at Anfield, and you've got to show them respect. And obviously, a fantastic Szoboszlai free kick, which settled, the tie for them, which was one of the best free kicks, I'm not going to lie, that I have seen all season.
Yeah, well, we saw what we did revenge-wise with Villa recently. So, I think Arsenal will be riled up in the right way, that we can get a good result at home. And apparently there's some fan stadium tifo thing or whatever going on for the game. So
there is.
That should be good as well, building up the atmosphere. Not that we really need to, because every fan in that stadium will be well up for it. But yeah, it's a huge game. Regardless of their form, it is a huge game. And they still have some quality players. Will be interesting to see though if Ekitike is fit, because I've seen a couple question marks around that over the last couple of days, and obviously they need him to be because Isak's out. So yeah, let's see. They could have a couple.
I've heard that Ekitike isn't playing; he's not fit, so that can only go in our favours. He's been a fantastic player for them this season, and scored some important goals. So I think his just general ball playing ability has been absolutely awesome. So. Ella, quickly, Portsmouth away. Just give us a quick prediction for Liverpool, the Liverpool game on Thursday night.
I'm going to go 3-0.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to go for.
I'm going big, but to be quite honest with you, I say this before every game. I kind of don't care because as long as it's 3 points, I honestly don't mind. But yeah, 3-0 will be lovely. So yeah, hopefully it is.
I think for me as well, exactly what you said. Like these games that I've watched, whether they've been 1-0 wins, the game against Bournemouth, how we did it then, the first half we were poor. The game against Everton, there's quite a few of them actually, to be honest. This season where we just haven't been, we haven't been amazing. The Crystal Palace game, we weren't fantastic in that either, but we got the job done. And that is what this is about on Thursday night, whether it's 1-0, 2-0, 3-1, 4-3. Well, obviously, I wouldn't like a 4-3 that much, but the points are the points, and that's it. And that really is it. At the end of the day, we just need to keep this lead in front of Man City. So, final thoughts for today before we close, Ella?
Final thoughts. I think just final thoughts is that I think we need to be very appreciative of Arsenal Football Club right now, because with all the turmoil going on with other clubs, I feel like I've had a bit of reflection this week, and just makes me think I wouldn't want to be any other football fan right now. Things are looking really good. Liverpool should be a great game, and we should absolutely smash those lot. Please God, obviously.
And do you know what? And I'll end that on that you make a fantastic point there, Ella. When you look around the grounds and you look at your Manchester Uniteds, your Chelseas, your Man Cities, what's going on there? And listen, I'm not saying Manchester City are in, but obviously with their two centre backs out injured now for periods of time, one for a season and one for probably 8 to 10 weeks, makes you realise how grateful we are. Listen, we're 6 points clear at the top of the Premier League. We're top of the Champions League. We've got a big game. We're going into a big game against Liverpool on Thursday nights as the clear favourites, and believing that we should do the business. We're doing the business even when we're good. Even when we're not good, we're still good. And even when we're bad, we find a way to be good and win. And get the job done, and that's it. And it's about continuing to get the job done and getting the points on the board, and come what may, bagging that Premier League. And what fun that will be. I can't wait. There will be absolute scenes. So, Ella, thank you very much. You've been an absolute superstar. I thoroughly enjoyed
Marty, always good fun.
Thoroughly enjoyed getting back to business with you this time on a Tuesday night instead of a Wednesday night.
Yeah, guys, make sure you get it in the diaries, because the day change. Make sure you know it's Tuesdays going forward.
So hopefully next week we'll have some other stuff sorted for you, and it will be slightly more interactive. But thank you very much for watching. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for getting involved with the chat, and thank you very much for watching. Please check out all of AFTV's other content. Please check out the AFTV app. And obviously, it's the big one on Thursday night. We have got a watch along for Arsenal versus Liverpool, 8 o'clock on Thursday evening. It's going to be awesome. I've been Marty. She's been Ella. This has been AFTV, the Marty Ella Show, signing out.